Welcome back to Fast Market on the TD Ameritrade Network. I'm Tom White, joined by my co-host Kevin Hinks. But let's bring in our next guest for our cash tag segment. That's going to be Andy Swan, the co-founder of LikeFolio. Thanks for joining us today, Andy.
Yeah, happy Monday.
Happy Monday is right. Thank God it's Monday. We're talking Expedia. We're talking travel. You know, you keep on hearing this, that planes are full, Andy, and everybody wants to travel. But this stock over the last 4 or 5 months has come off all-time highs above maybe 217 or so, down about 47% so far this year. It doesn't seem reflective in these shares that, hey, people are traveling and people want to travel. Is your data showing something different?
Yeah, you know, we showed a nice snapback in travel demand, especially at the first and second quarter of the year. But we're really seeing when you're talking about people, you know, planning a trip, which is really forward-looking. It's not just booking a trip. It's not something that's going to be in the revenues yet, but planning a trip in the future. You know, it's up year over year, but not nearly as much as we would have hoped. There's some significant deceleration in what's going on, especially in the consumer side, the vacation side of things. I think there's a lot of price sensitivity there that's not, that's not happening so much on the corporate side. And so a company like Expedia is pretty heavily exposed to that, especially, we see some real weakness in their VRBO brand, which competes with Airbnb. And quite frankly, from what we can see from a consumer demand and happiness perspective, they're not doing a very good job of competing with Airbnb at all. VRBO demand is down 4%, while Airbnb up 32%, and Airbnb's happiness clobbering VRBO 63% to 41% positive. So this new acquisition that Expedia has in VRBO doesn't seem to be, from our data, performing very well at all. And then, so you've got kind of this deceleration in the overall consumer, vacation space, you could call it, and VRBO underperforming. The other thing that's really hurting Expedia right now is a little company called Google. I'm not sure if you've noticed that when you search for flights now, when you search for, all those vacation-related type of searches that you do, you plug that into Google, they're putting those results right on the page without you having to go to an Expedia or to a Booking.com or to any of these aggregators anymore, and can book fairly directly through Google itself. And so that competitor, I think, is eating into a lot of these companies in a really big way. And so overall, our outlook on Expedia is they may, be able to put up some good near-term numbers, but long-term, this is one we'd look to fade because they've got a lot of headwinds coming their way.
Andy, this company owns Hotels.com. You mentioned VRBO, Travelocity, Hotwire, Orbitz, Trivago, but you just mentioned the two words that are going to wreak havoc on this company, and that is when the largest search engine lets you look for free and book and not charge anything. And so for Expedia to stay relevant, they're going to probably have to spend more money on ads to keep their name out there, which is going to lower their margins. Their margins are already fairly low. I think that's why you've seen the stock sell off and not recover. They may recover slightly as the whole industry gets better. But Andy, what effect do you see, Google Travel having on all these names, like even Airbnb and even bookings, could come under pressure from this? Because one thing they're attacking here, people like that word free, especially when inflation is everywhere in this economy. Andy, how bad of a disruption is Google Travel?
I think it's a really big disruption, especially for aggregators of, what I would call kind of commoditized services, where it's how do I get from point A to point B in the time frame I want to do it and at a price I want to do it. Google can tell me that information just as easily, if not better, than Expedia. Now, when it comes to a company like Airbnb, much more insulated from that because they are a marketplace where both the seller and the buyer have to come together on the platform, not as easily searchable or scrapable and not something that Google's probably going to get involved with. I think there's a lot more brand loyalty where people will actually just type in Airbnb.com and go there for that purpose. But when it comes to flights, hotels, it's really price and time wins, and that's the type of thing that Google is great at disrupting. And I think we're going to continue to see that in this industry, even more so from here.
Yeah, and you mentioned in the near term, because it seems like everybody wants to travel right now. Airline tickets are just exponentially higher than what they were in 2019. Fuel prices still elevated in here. But Andy, if you look at this from like an earnings score, we don't have earnings in Expedia for a couple weeks here. But going into this, are you seeing deterioration of momentum going into earnings for any of these companies or all of them?
Yeah, we're seeing deterioration for all of them, really. And I think it's very related to the price increases that have occurred. There was that snapback demand that came at the beginning of the year in travel. People were just ready to get out no matter what the cost was. But when it comes to the second vacation of the year, or that back to school or holiday travel, it gets a little trickier, and we're seeing that take its toll on Airbnb, Expedia now slightly negative on earnings score, and really Booking.com is the one or Booking Holdings, the one that we've seen deteriorate the most. And so if you're looking for a bearish bet in this space, that's where I'd turn my attention. Expedia kind of middle of the pack, and Airbnb, like I said before, probably more insulated than the others from some of these trends that we're seeing.
All right, great data. As always, Andy, breaking down the travel space here with Expedia, deterioration of maybe the outlook going forward. And you mentioned Google Travel. I haven't used it yet. I got to check it out now, because if I can just do that in my search engine, I'm not sure why I would ever go back to Expedia.com. But good stuff as always, Andy. Have a great day.
You too. Thanks.
All right, that's Andy Swan, the co-founder of LikeFolio, breaking down the data in the travel segment.